Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm gonna continue to work on the Nova, but I got a few things I wanted to show you today. One of which, since we're doing all this body and paint work on it, you got to know what color we're gonna paint it, right? So I've been contemplating on what that could be. And I don't want to go the traditional gloss paint route on this car. I'm gonna do something different, and I get you guys perspective on what you think would look good. So what I've done is I've shot an old hood, a couple different color options. Actually two different colors that are very similar. This is a pepper gray metallic. You best know this color on a very popular car in the Ford Shelby GT500 realm. I'll let you guys figure that one out. But pepper gray metallic, and then a very close similar color to pepper gray metallic. This is a custom color that I've picked out. It's got a little bit more gray tones to it, a little less of the silver, which I actually think complements black a little bit better. So this is the color I think I'm going to go with. But I want to do a satin or flat color on this car versus the traditional gloss. So I've got just a spray out of the gloss up here so you can kind of see the colors in that form. Down here, this is just the base coat alone, no clear coat at all on it. And then down here, you can see that line. This is with a flattening agent and clear coat on top. So you get the durability of the clear, you get the lasting, effects of having clear coat for that protection. But you also get a flattening of it in a sense. So this is heavily flattened. This is like a 50-50 mix with a flattening agent and the clear coat. I don't think I'm going to go that flat. I really want it to start to have a little bit of a sheen to it. So I want to try to keep it as close to this look, just almost like a base coat alone, as the flat coat down here. That's what I'm thinking. Okay, let's talk about this thing a little bit. We've obviously put it in primer, that first stage, or that square one stage of primer, and this side of the car is still there, right? We haven't done any work on it. So we took everything down to bare metal as best as we could and left all the imperfections and the things that we need to fix on it. So we're really at that square one. So you can see there's dents and issues here where we pulled on this door. Obviously all the work we did down there with the slide hammer. And then there's some issues down here too. So I put in a patch panel here, and there's a lot of problems that this back quarter panel have that we need to address as well. So all of that is still there. What we have done on the other side, as we come around, is we've corrected and fixed all of those type issues with this side. How we do that? We sanded it down. We blocked with a stick and 80 grit paper and blocked it down to see where these bad problems exist. And as we saw them, we started correcting them, and we corrected it with filler, right? So Bondo. So we started with the hood, and we got the hood corrected, all the major places with that we needed to put filler in. We've also fixed all these other panels, right? So we had an issue up here. We had to weld in a spot here, correct that. Our places where we welded in the body mount holes or the body side molding holes, all of that's done. And then of course there's some other places in these doors just over the years. I mean, this thing's what, 1963? It's been around a while. Has some issues, a lot of door dings and issues over the years. So all that's been corrected. You'll see all that too. Pretty much this whole door had to be, worked in some form or fashion. All right, so we got it pretty close. There is some filler in it. You're gonna have that with these old cars. You just can't get away from it unless you put all new panels on it, which we're not doing. So, and then we welded up some issues on this quarter. and then wiped it too. So all that's in, I call it rough body work, if you will. We're gonna prime it again. This time when we prime it, we're not at square one anymore. We've kind of got to that next level. So we'll prime it and we'll block it down at least one more time, see where we're at, make sure all of those imperfections are gone before we do our final priming, and that'll put us really ready to wet sand and paint. But we still got this other side to do, and I wanted to save that for you guys so we could work one panel together. So we're gonna do that. And I think I'm gonna choose the front fender. So let's get to work. So let's talk a little bit about what we're doing, right? We're trying to get this body panel really to this next stage, this roughed in stage, as you'll hear a lot of people say. And that's basically where you take all the big boo-boos, if you will, and you wipe them, or you put Bondo or fiberglass or whatever you choose to use as your filler. You fill those, and then you sand them down to where they're at a point where you can prime over them and still maintain the body lines, keep it nice and flat. That's the rough in work. And then that also means that you fix issues like this, right? Some rust issues that we've got. I'm gonna have to put a little patch on there and fill up a hole here where we're not gonna put a body side mold again. So we're gonna do all of that. But we're also gonna pay really close attention to, and this is what makes the difference between just a mediocre or crappy paint job, if you will, and a good paint job. What I consider something that you would be proud of, and that you would, show that you took the time to do it well. And I want to show you a few techniques that I do that I think help a lot. One of them is taking your time with areas like this. This has got old paint, some of it's flaking off. This is in an area which you'd never really see, and if you painted over it, it would probably, you'd look okay. But this is the stuff that if you just take your time, clean these edges up so you don't have that, it's nice and smooth. And also taking the excess paint off these hard lines, these body lines that are at the end and the edges of your fenders, of your hood, these anywhere there is an edge like this. I always sand all that material off and keep it nice and flat. Or a better way to say it would be just any extra material that's built up on those edges over time, get rid of it. Take it back down to bare metal. So you got nice crisp lines. And we tried to do that when we stripped this car earlier. Try to get all of that material off. But you're still gonna find there's little bitty things here and there that you need to get off. And that becomes really important in your finish work, because that's gonna show. If you got a glob of filler or a little bit thicker material, it makes the lines look not as good. It makes the lines look off. So taking your time to do that is the difference between just a mediocre paint job and something that really looks good. And you'll see we're going to do that on all of these lines, and we're also going to work how this door shuts and make sure that the lines meet up. Like this has got a little bit of the gap here. It looks pretty good, but we could also maybe hammer out this door a little bit so it lines up with the back door, right? Move this metal out just a little bit so it's nice and flush. It feels good. Over time, these doors have been opened up a ton. They've hit things. When you open these things up and they run into a wall or something, anything, or just grabbing them over the years and shutting them like that, actually starts to bend this material down, and it starts to curve it in a little bit. And then they just don't line up quite as good as they did before. So we're going to correct those little things. It doesn't have to be everything, and it's not going to be perfect. This car is not going to SEMA, but we still want it to be a really nice car. We want our paint job to look really good. So we're going to take those extra steps and take our time just to make it just that much nicer. And in the end, it definitely pays off. So just little tips and tricks to help you guys do a better job when you're taking on a project like this at home. All right, what I'm going to do here, I'm going to start off with a 150 grit paper, and I'm doing this on a paint paddle, right? So this is like the large paint paddles you get at Home Depot. I've cut me off a section, I've tried to find a really straight one, something that's just, you know, doesn't have a lot of bow into it. So go get a couple of these things, pick out the best one that's as straight as possible. That's what I use, and just wrap my paper around it. And I use this, wrap it as tight as I can, and then I use this to do my first kind of blocking. And you'll notice too, you'll see some black on here. I've taken a little black spray paint, like a flat black spray paint, and I've just lightly coated the gray primer. And I do that for a reason. That way I can actually see the coloration change on the primer. You'll see what I'm talking about here. And if we have a bad place, we'll see that it stays dark in the areas that are low, and the areas that are high, it'll sand off. So I'll start here and I'll show that to you. And I like to move backwards and forwards along one direction, and then cross hatch it the other way. And that helps kind of reveal, but it keeps things nice and flat. You can start to see where I'm coming through the primer. You'll see that. So this is showing what's underneath it. These are high spots that are coming through. The low spots stay primer. Kind of see how that's working. And then let's look at a place that's, I know there's a low spot we're going to have to wipe. Right here where there's welding done. I'll show that to you. Alright, I don't know if you can see that very well. But you can see that I sanded this off in this area, but right here, some of that darker primer where we coated it with some black paint is showing. So I can see that really well. I don't know if it's showing up on camera, but that gives me an indication I got an issue there, right? And that is probably an area I'm going to have to wipe the little Bondo in and clean up. But basically, I'm going to do this whole panel by hand. And I'm going to let it kind of talk to me in a sense. Show me where there are issues and where there's not. And things that are small enough to be able to sand out in this first sanding, they just go away. You don't have to deal with it. And hopefully, the majority of it will do that, right? Some more important elements here. My mask. You don't want to be breathing this stuff in. Not the best stuff for your health. Not only are these great for social distancing in today's environment, but also good for sanding primer. So we'll continue this until we block this whole fender nice and smooth. Find out our bad places, and then we can start to work those once we get there. I need to get back. I'm going to do a little welding here. Alright, so we got to sand it down. Got to sand it down to show the areas that we need to do some work to. So we got one here, here, right there, one here, here, and here. And those are the big spots. I don't see anything else that's really going to be problematic on this front fender, but we're going to wipe them. So the next step here is going to take this spot where I know I've got to put the filler in, and I need to grind it down with something. This is 36 grit, heavy grit paper. It's going to give me something for that Bondo to really bite to, for the filler to really stick to and cling to. So I'm going to hit these spots that I'm going to put filler in with this next. Now here, and I'll just do around the spot. I kind of go outside of it. I go to a couple inch perimeter around it, because you're going to fill all the way out. What I like to do is, you know, go two different directions. So a cross hatch pattern here too, which also helps with the adhesion of your filler. Low spot right there. Low spot right there. Low spot in here I need to hit. Alright, I think that's it. I don't think I have any other. Actually, I have one more right here. Little spot up. All right. Alright, come back with some 36 grit on a sanding block. So DuraBlock. You can get these like Summit Racing. Most of your paint stores will have something like this. It's about a 3-inch, 3.5-inch wide, by 12-inch block. Does a pretty good job of keeping surfaces flat, but it'll help you take down Bondo and filler like this. So start taking it down. We'll just keep working that, and we'll do all these spots until we get the majority of the filler back off, and hopefully it's filled, these voids, and we'll know when we're really close, and we'll see the surrounding panel start coming through, and there's just a little bit of a layer of the Bondo on it, just a skim coat. So I'm going to keep going at this, and I'll bring you back in just a second. Alright, let's see here. Alright, we've taken these things down. We're sanding them down to the lowest level we can go before we start touching metal around where the dent is. And that's where you know to stop, right? So I'm starting to come through here, I'm coming through here, come through over here. So that is pretty flat. It's got most of that dent taken out. There's a little place right here that I think we can fill that with primer and it'll come out, so I'm not going to do anything else with it. But that's smooth. And those dents are gone. So now, this panel is fairly smooth. Actually, where we did some welding down here, the primer filled it, and we're not even going to need to put any fillers. So our metal work was good enough. This is going to get a couple more coats of primer on it before we're all said and done. So the next phase is going to be, of course, I got to fix a few things down here with the welder. So I'm going to do that next. And then I'm going to take the same process that we did here, do that down here on this bottom section, and then through the rest of the car. So it's a lot of work. I'm not going to make you guys suffer through all of that. So what I'm going to do is, after I get it completed, I'll go around the car, I'll show all the places we fixed, what it looks like before we move on to the second stage primer. And that may be where we end off this video, but that'll be what I call the rough end work will be done. All right, we are done with the rough end, what I call roughed in body work, which is basically all of the body work that had major dents in it, large areas we had to get some Bondo and filler in have been addressed and smoothed out and ready for the next priming. So we started from square one. We started from basically taking this thing down to original paint and or bare metal. We etch primed and then re-primed, and then we went to our heavy body work, or our roughed in section of body work, which is all these big dents. Remember this door, right? This was the door that was pretty much crushed. We spent a lot of time working on and pulled out with the slide hammer. And I'm not gonna say it's perfect, and I'm no Michelangelo, but that right there is pretty good. Like, once we get some primer on that, it's gonna look, I wanna say, about 85%. And we'll get that extra 15% when we block, you know, what I'll call like phase 3, you know, once we've got it in the next high build prime and we start blocking with 150. So a lot of that'll come out.